Hey, what's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here, talking with you about the college football playoff, and happy to be here in the great state of Florida, my second home, second hub of my company, and a little under the weather. So if I sound a little bit different, that is why. But navigated through this, and I got a story to tell, so we're going to share it here. Had a very interesting and beautiful, I'm going to call it miraculous because of how God got me ready for this thing, but a great end to 2025, beginning of 2026. So I ended 2025 at the college football playoff, started 2026 at the college football playoff, and the in-between was just absolute, a bunch of things working out. I was thanking God for so many different things. So on Wednesday, December 31st, my dad's birthday. Happy birthday to Pop once again. Love you, Dad. So my dad's birthday was December 31st. And so Pop's just celebrating his birthday, right? We're having fun and whatnot. And, you know, I got to talk to him, FaceTime with him, because obviously I was on the road. So spoke with my dad and went out to this game and was down in Texas. So I went down December 30th to be down in Texas. So left Syracuse, went to Dallas, took a direct flight, got there, kind of felt under the weather and had to get better. So slept a lot and then got up, didn't know how I was going to feel going to the game. I was like, God, just help me to be okay. Help me to get there. Help me to feel better. And I was able to go to the game, gain energy. And he's always done this with me. I remember there was this one time when I was on my first radio station out of college, ESPN, 630, 1240, and 96.1 FM in Scranton. Shout out to Time Shamrock Communications. So I was out there. I remember, I'll never forget this. I was in the studio and I felt so sick. Like my throat was killing me. And I was thinking, how am I going to get on the air? How am I going to talk? And I think at that point I was talking for like an hour or two. And I was like, how am I going to be able to talk when I feel like this? And I got on the air, my throat, like the pain went away for the whole show. And as soon as the show was over, I felt it again. God was like, I got you. Go do what you love. I know you don't feel good, but I'm gonna bring you through this. I'm gonna take that pain away so you could do what you need to do. And I don't think it's that he gave the pain back. He just he took all that pain away so that I could do what I love. And then I had to go home and obviously rest and get better. And so, you know, I prayed this time around, same thing. Just help me to be okay. Help me to feel okay. You know, I didn't want to feel horrible and all that. And I also didn't want to miss the opportunity. I've been waiting for this for a long time. So I felt good enough, got to the game, covered the game, and got to see, you know, down in Dallas, Miami, and Ohio State. And I picked Miami going into the game. I just have a feeling about them this year. They didn't need to have a chip on their shoulder, but I think all that Notre Dame drama and all that stuff, I mean, it only helps them, right? That they were told they shouldn't be in over the team that they beat. So I don't think they care about that anymore, but you know, I think it definitely doesn't hurt to have that locker room material of having people say like, you don't deserve this and you don't deserve that. So, you know, they're a tough team, they're a hard team, they're a gritty team, they work, and you know, their defense has been fun to watch. And something inside of me was like, hey, you got to pick Miami, even though I respect Ohio State. And I did, and Miami won that game. I had the opportunity after the game to speak with Miami running back Mark Fletcher Jr., as well as defensive back who had the 72-yard interception return for a touchdown, Keontae Scott. And, of course, I spoke with head coach Mario Cristobal. And on the other side, I spoke with Ohio State head coach Ryan Day about the two guys that were sitting next to him after the game, which was quarterback Julian Sayin and safety Caleb Downs. So you can go and watch those on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCall DT. They're on X at CallDT, and they're on Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. So you can get all of those in what we call DT on the CFP, which is what I call my coverage of the college football playoff. So make sure you check those out. But yeah, I mean, the way I ended last year to going into this new year of 2026, I'm at that game, right? I get back to the hotel from that game, from writing my story that you can read on WakeUpCallDT.com, and from doing all my interviews and being on the field and doing my post-game video, which you can also see on all the channels I mentioned. And I get back to the hotel. I go to media hospitality, which, by the way, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Scotty Rogers and the team, again, phenomenal job. Fantastic snacks. Somehow they made the room we were in last year, it was bigger. It had more things. We had fantastic live music. So to everything the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic did, just magnifique. I mean, I genuinely, it was, I've never seen a media event like that before. So thank you to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And that's saying a lot. I've been doing this for 22 plus years. So that was awesome. As always, had a great time there. It was 11:57, and I decided to go up to my room, right, to ring in the new year. And, you know, obviously made sure things were done. Might have been laying in bed up there, getting some work done. So here it is, past midnight. I go to sleep. I sleep for like 3 hours. I get a good rest, right, even though it was only 3. Wake up, and I get on a plane straight to Miami. There was only one flight that went from Dallas to Miami direct so that I could get to the game. So I get to Miami and get to the airport, jump in the vehicle, Uber my way to the hotel. Hotel lets me in early. Thank God. Thank you all. Appreciate y'all. And was able to change, get myself ready, and then get over to, and Happy New Year to you, Chuck. So was able to change, and to my buddy Chuck up in heaven as well. God bless you, Chuck. I miss you. So was able to change, get another Uber, go to the Hard Rock Stadium. So in less than 12 hours, in less than half of a day, I was from one college football playoff game to the next. And my buddy Jason, he sent me a message. He was like, bro, I saw you last night doing your coverage at the Cotton Bowl, and now I see you here at the Orange Bowl. And I'm like, how? By the grace of God, you know, not feeling 100%, one direct flight, sleeping 3 hours, less than 12 hours, and still was able to go from Dallas, Fort Worth to Miami and have the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and the Capital One Orange Bowl coverage. So, I mean, I set out to do it. I knew there was a tight window, but I never deny or think that God can't. And that was when I was feeling good. And now, on top of the fact that I wasn't feeling 100%, God came through in a million different ways. Helped me through everything just to get me out of bed and get me walking and moving forward. Keep going forward. How many hits I take and keep moving forward, like Rocky says. So it's been a great experience. It was a ton of fun. I watched the games last night. Obviously was keeping an eye on the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. I picked Indiana to beat Alabama. I picked Oregon to beat Texas Tech down here in Florida. I picked Miami to beat Ohio State when I was over in Dallas. The only one I got wrong was Ole Miss and Georgia. Who would have thought this Ole Miss Rebel team losing their coach during the season, all the drama, the conversations about is he going to take another job with weeks left in the season, multiple weeks left in the season, multiple games left in the regular season, all of that drama while they're still playing. Then they get in the college football playoff and he's not there. Then the conversation comes out that he wanted to stay. Then the school saying, well, maybe that's not the total. It's like, who's telling the truth here? The players, the school, the coach. Did Lane Kiffin want to stay? Did he want to leave? Did he want to see them through the college football playoff? Did he not care? That's still unclear. And Ole Miss players, that was the one thing I kept thinking about. You know, and in my rankings, I had them like drop out of the college football playoff because part of the criteria for the committee is having availability of players and coaches that were with the team. Are they still with the team? So even though they had one loss, I was concerned the committee may punish them like they've punished Florida State. Never punished Ohio State, though, when Carson Beck went down. The committee did not really stand by what they had said before, right? They punish Florida State with Jordan Travis. They don't punish Georgia Tech when they didn't have Carson Beck, or Georgia, pardon me, when they didn't have Carson Beck. So I didn't know what they were going to do. And I didn't think Ole Miss should be out of it. I didn't think Ole Miss should be punished. I thought that it might happen, so I had to do the impartial view of, like, what do I think they could do? Not what do I think they should do, but what do I think they will do, right? Because that's my job, is to predict well, not my whole job, but it's part of my job to assess the situation and to obviously provide my thoughts and my opinions on this show, backed by facts, backed by reasoning, logic, rationale. And so I thought they might punish them. They didn't. I'm happy they didn't. I thought Ole Miss had a fantastic season. They're having arguably the best season ever, right? They've never been in the college football playoff. I would say they're having the best season that they've ever had. And Lane Kiffin leaves. So my concern is, well, what does this team do? Do they fold? Does this Lane Kiffin departure during the season, which again is a problem, which again should not happen? Coaches should not be able to make decisions on where they're going to be next season during this season. Players should not be able to make a decision on where they're going to be next season during the current season. I don't know why that has to be questioned, thought about. That's an easy thing. It's an easy thing, right? I don't know why. There's certain things that are easy, right? When you're doing a test, name, you write your name. Gender, male, female, you check one or the other. I mean, I remember doing things in school. Those were the easiest answers, right? Here's my name, here's my gender, yay, and now I go on with the test. There's things in life that are very easy to answer, but we've now overcomplicated this world because we're seeking to play God and understand life without God, and it's really going well for America. So, not. And when it came to Ole Miss and it came to this conversation about Lane Kiffin, it got ridiculous. Why can this coach talk to anybody else during the season? That should be tampering. It should be a massive fine to the teams that are talking to him, and it should be a fine to Lane Kiffin. And I'm not putting Lane on the stake here. I think it should be with anybody. Chuck said because players aren't on a business contract like pro sports, so they don't have the same rules. And that's the thing, Chuck. And, people have talked about this in the collegiate athletic world. They're not in one model, they're not in the other. It's no longer an amateur model because money's involved. And it's not a pro model because there's no parameters. So they're in this middle region where there's a ton of money and a ton of movement, but no rules. And how's that going to help anybody? How's it going to sustain itself? I said years ago, this will not sustain itself. What are people saying now? It's not going to sustain itself. I've been talking about these things since COVID time, since the 2020 time period. Here we are in 2026, and a lot of things I predicted, a lot of the things I said, a lot of the concerns I had, they're all here. So how am I sitting here breaking it down, looking at it going, wait, this doesn't make any sense? And now 6 years later, people are going, wait, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, there has to be intelligent heads in this thing, and I don't understand. I don't get it. I'll be your commissioner of college football. Let's go. Let's go. People won't like me, though, in certain ways because I'm not going to give preferential treatment. I'm going to treat everybody every year a clean slate. Every year. You have to. Right? Did Texas Tech deserve to be a number 4 seed? No. I wasn't sold on the Big 12 all year, but the committee liked the Big 12. Well, what does that mean? The committee didn't like the ACC. How'd that work out? Miami's in the Final Four. Miami beat the reigning national champion. Miami beat the Big Bad Wolf. So, and I don't want to hear, well, Will Howard wasn't the quarterback. Well, people didn't give a lot of respect to Will Howard when he was the quarterback. People didn't give a lot of respect to Will Howard when he was going into the draft. So I don't want to hear respect for him now as an excuse. Don't use something that you didn't use before, right? I mean, yes, Julian Sayin is young. And yeah, he struggled. But, you know, Garrett Stockton in the game yesterday, he got beat by Ole Miss, and he made a lot of great plays. He's been around for a minute, right? So, I mean, good quarterbacks get beat sometimes. Good defensive ends get beat. Good linebackers, good kickers, good long snappers, good running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, good O-lines, D-lines, good safeties, good corners. They get beat sometimes. It happens. Somebody's got to win, right? And I almost went 4 for 4 on my predictions to get to the Final Four of the college football playoff, but Ole Miss got that win at the end. And I'm proud of Ole Miss. I'm okay with being wrong on my prediction in Georgia. I didn't know what Ole Miss was going to do. I was not sitting here worried about their play against Tulane. And you'll say, well, Dan, you picked Tulane. Hey, it was John Summerall's last game. I said, I'm gonna ride with this momentum and this wave until it's done. And I did. And not as a homer. I didn't pick them to win every game this season. I picked them to, go out and hopefully compete in that game and give themselves a chance. They didn't have a good game, and you got to move forward. They made it to the college football playoff. That's part of their history. It's incredible. The team that they played made it for the first time. They made it for the first time for Ole Miss and Tulane, and I was okay being wrong on that pick because I wanted to, show belief and hope for the Green Wave. And, I thought they're playing a team that lost their coach. Let's see how they respond. That was my reasoning and rationale. I believe Tulane's better than they were the first time around. They've grown, and let's see what they can do. Mike says, go Ducks. Yeah, man, I down here covering the team, spoke with Dan Lanning, was in the hallway literally right next to him. I'm going to be showing a picture of that, like Dan Lanning and Brandon Linney Jr. literally right next to me. So that was really cool to be walking through the hallway with them and next to them. So, Ole Miss responded extremely well. And the more they're winning these games and beating Georgia, who arguably was the best team in this college football playoff to some people, and I kind of circled them and said, this could be the best team. Now, as time's gone on, I've thought to myself, well, I said Miami was a dark horse going in, but Brendan Murphy on DT and Murphy, which we'll have this Monday on Wake Up Call, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, back again to start your week. The first DT and Murphy of 2026. He had a little Freudian slip, and he said Indiana, Miami. That's a real thing now. Murph may be right. You might have to put some money on it, Murph. Chuck said Ducks need to play better. Yeah, let me say something about this game, okay? The Ducks could have crawled their way through this game. Texas Tech was so bad in this game, and I felt bad for Joey McGuire, the head coach, and the crew. I felt really bad for Texas Tech. I did. Jacob Rodriguez, everybody. I mean, this was not the way that you want to end your season. It was rough. A rough game. People knock Tulane and they knock JMU, but Texas Tech had a worse game against Oregon than JMU. I mean, did Tulane score no points? Did JMU score no points? I mean, they didn't get a point. So I think all the people knocking, there shouldn't be and I can't stand the group of 5, group of 6. I can't stand that moniker, but the whole group of and the disrespect, the media created it. The media said, here's the power, here's the non-power, but we can't call it non-power, so we'll just call it a group. just a group of people. And what happens when you group things? It's never a good thing. And it hasn't been a good thing for the conferences that were put in that group. So, I think if you're going to knock Tulane and you're going to knock JMU, well, you have to hold the Big 12 responsible. You have to hold Texas Tech responsible. Texas Tech was the best team in the Big 12, and look at how the Big 12 responded. I didn't think the Big 12 should have more than one team in this year, and they didn't. The committee and I were in lockstep in almost pretty much everything. Almost completely, we were in lockstep when they released their 12. And so there wasn't a lot of surprises for me. I don't know if there was any team I didn't have. I just didn't know what they were going to do with Ole Miss. But I had the chaos scenario. I had JMU. I had Tulane. And I had Miami over Notre Dame because they beat them head to head. And, that same record beat you head. I guess Miami deserved to be in, right? All those people are quiet now. All that hate mail stopped. So, that's something crazy that I'm not bringing into 2026. I'm not responding to idiocy anymore. I'm just not. I don't have time for it. Life's too short. I don't have the energy. And when you get under the weather and you feel like you have less energy, it really makes you think about how you use your energy, because you have to conserve it because you feel like you don't have as much. And it makes you think about, man, if I feel like I got 47%, 62%, what am I going to do with it? Because I don't feel like I have 100%. What am I going to do with less? And then when you heal, you're like, all right, well, if I could do it with 62, what am I going to do with a full 100? Now that I have all my energy back, am I going to put it into this garbage again? And it's garbage. I appreciate the hate mail. It boosts my viewings. It boosts my ratings. Thank you. But people thinking I hate your conference, I hate your team, thinking anybody, does. I can't speak to other broadcasters and writers and people in journalism. I can't, because I'm not them. I don't know how they think. I don't know what they're feeling. I don't know what their motive is. But I could tell you mine is never hate. I respect Notre Dame. I don't respect the way that they handled this season like a bunch of crybabies. I thought that was laughably ridiculous, and I think it was humiliating to college football. And I would think when you reflect on this as an adult, which I don't think they acted like in that decision, I think the athletic director, I think the head coach, and the student athletes are going to look back on this moment, and I don't want them to, but I feel like there could be some regret there, especially if that was your last game and you decided not to play in it. When you take your ball and go home and boo-hoo and I didn't get what I wanted, so now, and that's the world we live in today. When we don't get what we want, we cry, we scream, we change the rules. What type of world are we living in where when we don't get what we want, we change the rules? And then they were talking right after Notre Dame didn't get in. ESPN's got something running on the ticker that there's some type of rule change now that's going to protect Notre Dame in the future, or protect the ACC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the SEC, and it's going to do this and it's going to do, and it's like, so you make a decision, and then the knee-jerk reaction after you make a stand is to change the rules, to try and apologize for the decision you made? Whatever happened to making a decision with confidence and standing tall with it? Not everybody's going to like it, right? But who are we when we take a stand and then 5 minutes later we go, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This world has gotten so soft that if people cry and scream and threaten, we just change the rules. And that's so stupid to me. And I would say that about any team. It's not about Notre Dame. That's what people don't get. That's what short-sighted people don't get. It's not about Notre Dame. Okay? It's about when you cover national or international. I'm not pigeonholed to my hometown of Syracuse, New York. I'm not pigeonholed to the East Coast or the Midwest or the West Coast. I chose not to be. I said, God, I want people in Idaho to know my name before I die. Not because I have an ego, but because I want to make this world a better place. And I make this world a better place by more people knowing about me. They know what I do. They see how I do it. And hopefully that positivity and that goodness reaches their life, and it helps them and it builds them up, and it lets them know they're not alone, and this world can get stronger and more positive and better and together. My job is to bring Jesus Christ, to bring God, to bring the Holy Spirit to you, wherever you are, whatever you believe in. I'm trying to get us all home. It's not about sports. It never was. Sports is a vehicle I use. What is Wake Up Call's tagline? Where sports meets life. We talk about life all the time. I'm not your typical show. And I don't know what other people are talking about because I'm too busy working. So I definitely, pardon me, looking back on this season, did Chuck say, Notre Dame is money. Somehow they should be in a conference to make bowl appearances as part of the NCAA. Chuck, I said this years ago. The College Football Playoff Committee can make the easiest fix in college football. Because who's fighting them? What's Notre Dame going to say? We don't want to? Okay, fine. What are they afraid of? If the College Football Playoff Committee said to Notre Dame, either join a conference or you can't qualify, they would be forced to join a conference. They would be forced to join a conference. All you have to say to Notre Dame to get them in a conference is say you can't qualify for the college football playoff. What's Notre Dame going to do? Play their own college football playoff against themselves? They're going to play a Golden Navy game? What are they going to do? So that's the easiest fix. That's all they have to do. And people say, well, they won't do it. Why? Because Notre Dame wants to keep their money. Well, what do you mean they won't do it? College football playoff can do whatever they want to do. What do you mean they won't do it? They can do whatever they want to do. Right? They could turn around and say the teams outside of the autonomy group can't qualify. They can do whatever they want to do. So why are people saying, well, it's never going to happen? So why? Because Notre Dame wants to keep 100% of their money. That's Notre Dame's want. College Football Playoff Committee does not have to, they don't have a gold gun to their head from Notre Dame saying, you're going to do this. What's the punishment? What's Notre Dame going to say? We make you a lot of money when people watch the games? Yeah, well, I would venture to say people are watching the games without Notre Dame. I would venture to say people stayed up last night to watch a classic. I would venture to say people were hype about that Miami game. Right? The Oregon game, that game was rough for Texas Tech. But people still show up. People still got on the plane from Texas. How do you know, Dan? Because I was with them. So Chuck said they tell other teams how to do things. When it comes to Notre Dame, they sit on their hands. Yeah. I mean, you can't, and I know that this speaks to a bigger thing, but let's just go into the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, because it's going to be about this. You can't have a specific set of rules for these people and not these people. Would Mike say Irish need to join a conference for all sports? So they do. It's plain and simple. Listen, Notre Dame's got a great deal. And if I'm Notre Dame, I'm sitting pat with it. It's also unfair. I don't want them to have to give up their TV money. I don't want them to have to give up their revenue dollars. I'm not sitting here trying to, listen, I'm a business owner. Ain't nobody trying to get into the pocket of Notre Dame. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about fairness here. Because teams are judged based on the body of work they do within their conference, the strength of it. Look at the ACC, how they get dogged nationally by talking heads, that they don't have a good conference, they don't have a good conference, they don't have a good conference, they don't have a good conference. What's Miami doing right now? What's up? Where are they from? Huh? So I thought Miami didn't deserve to be there. They beat who? Texas A&M, then what? Ohio State, they played a home game? They didn't? Uh-oh. What? So, let's be real about the annoying moment of the week. You can't have a separate set of rules. You can't have rules for Notre Dame, rules for Conference USA, rules for Big 12. They're all different. Okay? This doesn't work. FBS is not working. It's not working. This doesn't work. Okay? You have tiers. You have the Big Ten's given like more respect than the SEC. And people say, well, Dan, look at the Big Ten right now. Look at what's up. They got 2 of the 4 teams in the Final Four. I would argue with you that based on how Texas Tech played in that game, Oregon has still not truly been tested. Oregon's gotten to this point and has not beaten a Tier 1 team. They lost to Indiana, who's Tier 1, but they didn't beat them. So Oregon's here as probably the most, and I respect Oregon for getting here. I'm not saying that they should. They played a weaker schedule. Their only quality win was Iowa. That was a Tier 2 win. And, you know, beating JMU, that's not a Tier 1. It's not a Tier 2. Probably a Tier 3. And then you look at their win over Texas Tech. I didn't buy into the Big 12 stuff this year. And look at what happened. So, you know, I don't see that as a big-time win either. Maybe we call it a Tier 2. So Oregon comes into this thing with no Tier 1 wins. Miami's got Tier 1 wins. Ole Miss has Tier 1 wins. They avenged their loss to Georgia in the regular season, 41-35, by beating them last night, 39-34. Indiana's got Tier 1 wins. I kept saying Indiana played an easy schedule. That's all I said. I didn't say they weren't good. I didn't say they weren't talented. I didn't say they weren't capable. I said they played an easy schedule. Because outside of at Oregon and at Iowa, they did not play a tough schedule. And the numbers prove that. I relayed those numbers. People lost their minds. But I'm just telling you the truth. I said, I'm not saying Indiana's not good, just beat somebody. Beat somebody that's an upper echelon. And what did Indiana do? Mike, the Penn State win is how they finish. Penn State was not a good team this year. Sometimes rankings are smoke and mirrors, right? Illinois was ranked 9th in the country, and they lost by 53. So sometimes teams are ranked, and they shouldn't be. Sometimes they're ranked too high. Sometimes they're ranked too low. Sometimes they're not ranked, and they should be ranked. You know, look at the teams that, think about it like this. Look at the teams that were ranked in the top 10, top 25 at the beginning of the season. Look at the end of the season. How many teams in the top 10 proved that they should be there? Indiana wasn't in the top 10, were they? They were 19. So, rankings don't always show you everything. And I question them when they need to be questioned. You know, I'm not saying that people don't do the work, just sometimes I look at it and I say, how? But my thing about Indiana was, show me you can beat a Tier 1 team and I'll give you that respect. Not that they need it from me. I mean, who am I to them? What is that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need their respect. They don't need mine. I'm just saying, maybe a better way to word it is, I was looking for them I was just looking for more. In my assessment of Indiana, I was looking for more. Chuck, I would argue that rankings shouldn't come out till November when the college football playoff puts them out. Give the teams 2 months. If I go back and I mean, if you go back and you watch my shows, what's up, Cody? You already know. I'm down here in my second home of Florida, man. And Cody, you should know this already. My wardrobe for all my broadcasts has meaning, right? You got the CFP hat. And I'm down here covering the CFP. My wardrobe always has meaning. I put thought into what I wear when I'm on my broadcasts. And I have this Myers Creek hoodie because I'm proudly partnered with Myers Creek, 33 Rippleton Road in Kaz, and also in the Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street, and soon to be out in Lake Placid. So I'm rocking this because it's comfortable. I love our partnership. Appreciate Colby, Cody, and the whole team, Nick, everybody out at Myers Creek. So, Cody, I wore this to show love. This is a big broadcast. We're covering the college football playoff. I thought, who do I want to make sure I'm repping here this morning? And I put on my Myers Creek. I proudly support all of my partners wherever I'm at. Happy to talk about all the wonderful people we work with. So I'm rocking Myers Creek. They're one of our newer partners and wanted to show them some love. And the fact that when I'm on an airplane, I'm nice and comfy, thanks to Myers Creek. And make sure you go over there because that food is fantastic and I love the atmosphere. Both locations, totally different atmospheres. So you definitely got to try them both out. Make sure you do that. Myers Creek in Central New York. Appreciate you. So getting back to what I was saying though, Indiana needed to have a tier 1 win, in my opinion. I was waiting for it. I was like, you beat Ohio State. All right. There you go. And after they beat Ohio State and I watched that game with my dad, I was like, damn. And then I picked them to beat Alabama. I didn't think they were going to spank Alabama. They did. They walloped Alabama. They let them know. And don't do this whole, well, 3-loss team. No, not because of 3-loss team. Alabama's better. Or pardon me, Indiana's better. This had nothing to do with Alabama having 3 losses. This had to do with Indiana being a better team. It's just a better team, right? But here's the thing. They dogged JMU and they dogged Tulane for those first round games, then dog Alabama and dog Texas Tech because between the two of them, they scored 3 points in 2 games. 3 points. Cumulative. Okay? So if you're going to hate on JMU and Tulane and disrespect it, you should be hating on anybody. But if you're going to disrespect those teams for how they played and getting blown out, then you have to put Texas Tech and Alabama in the same category. And I'm not saying go out there and attack people. I'm saying I'm trying to show you some logic here, okay? Because people get fed, sometimes you get fed information and you just regurgitate it and you don't involve your brain. Your ear gets it, your mouth says it, but you don't let it go through your brain first to think about it. So you hear it, you don't think, and then you just say it. You just say what you heard, okay? Your brain's got to be involved. Because not everything you hear makes sense. Not everything you hear has logic. Not everything you hear has rationale. That's the real. So my annoying moment of the week having to do with this hate on the teams that are not in the autonomy group. I'm not going to call them the power. Autonomy. Those are the 4 conferences. The autonomy group. Big 10, Big 12, ACC, SEC. Still trying to figure out what the pack is because they were in the autonomy group. Don't know what's going on now. But that's something, to me, talking heads are saying, well, look at JMU, look at Tulane. You can't put them in the college football playoff because look at this. This is embarrassing. This is a waste of a game. But Alabama scored 3 points against Indiana. But Texas Tech couldn't move the ball at all. If I was Dan Lanning, I'd go for it on every 4th down. Their offense can't do anything, so why would I stop? That was my rationale. After he went for it a few times, I'm like, dang it. I feel like he's going for it because he knows if we lose the ball, we're still going to stop him. So why not take another down? Why not stay on the field a little bit longer? I asked him about it yesterday, and he said, when we don't do it, I'm an idiot. When we do it, I'm great. He was talking about that, and, the media laughed and whatnot because I asked him about going for it on 4th down as many times as he did and trusting Dante Moore and trusting the offense. But, man, shoot, Texas Tech couldn't move the ball. If I'm playing a team that can't move the ball, well, I'm going to keep going for it. Why the heck not? 4th and 9, let's go. 4th and 1, let's go. 4th and 5, let's go. Why not? But my annoying moment of the week is you hold Tulane and JMU to the fire, but you don't do it with Texas Tech and Alabama. That's not fair. You can't simply say if a team gets blown out in the college football playoff, they don't deserve to be there. You know how many teams have gotten blown out in the college football playoff? You know how many teams have gotten embarrassed? Do you know that Ohio State got blown out in the college football playoff? You know Washington got blown out in the college football playoff? You know Notre Dame got embarrassed their first 2 times in the college football playoff? Notre Dame got spanked both times that they got into the 4-team college football playoff. So you know, it's crazy to keep, but again, it's all narratives, folks. It's narratives. People create narratives. Once they create them, some people cannot admit when they're wrong, so they just keep pushing that narrative. So when Tulane loses, the narrative was these teams don't deserve to be in the college football playoff. Well, did Texas Tech deserve to be in there? Based on your logic, Tulane scored more points. So should Tulane have played Oregon? Should Oregon have been the 4 seed instead of Texas Tech? I mean, that's the conversation, right? That was the first thing on my mind yesterday. Oregon was the 5. Should they have not been the 4? But it's my annoying moment of the week, part of it, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, that we use these reasonings for certain conferences and not for others. Texas Tech loses, we say they had a bad game. Tulane loses, and we say they and their entire conference should never touch the college football playoff for the rest of history. Really? Well, we need to change the rules so these teams don't get in anymore. You're not saying that about the Big 12. And this is not me saying it. I'm not saying the Big 12 doesn't. I'm not saying none of these conferences deserve. No. And I'm not sitting here dogging Texas Tech. I respect Texas Tech. I was happy to see them play. I had never seen them play live. It was one of the new teams that I got to come out and see. Oregon too. And down here in Miami, I'm excited, right? I'm excited to go to the game, excited to experience it. I didn't think Texas Tech was, I don't think anybody in that press box thought Texas Tech was going to score 0, right? But it happened. And they have a good game, right? They did not look like they were on the same level as Oregon, and Oregon did not look like it was on the same level as the other teams that are left. It's going to be a test. Oregon already played Indiana. Oregon already lost to Indiana. Indiana's a really friggin' good team. Okay, let's get back to Indiana, though. Indiana, I said, when they were 8-0, I said, look at this cupcake schedule outside of at Oregon and at Iowa, and then look at the cupcake schedule that they had left with their last 4 games. I was like, they're not going to have a Tier 1 win unless they win out and play Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship and they beat them. And I watched that game with my dad. First friggin' seconds of that game, I looked at my dad and I was like, dude, I like Mendoza. Like this, everything. And I was like, if they win that game, they got a Tier 1 win. Respect. And then I picked them to beat Alabama, who I have banged the drum for this season. And I still picked Indiana to win that game. Respect. Indiana's a dangerous team. Indiana might blow out Oregon. They may. Indiana could win the whole dang thing. And if and when they win the whole thing, and you go back and say, well, Dan, you said da-da-da-da. What did I say? I said they played an easy schedule before Ohio State. I said they didn't have any Tier 1 wins before Ohio State. I said that the teams that they played had losing records in conference and 500 records out of conference, or overall. Those are all factual statements. Those are all facts. They had an easy schedule, except for at Oregon and at Iowa. That's the truth. They played Ohio State, they beat Ohio State. Then it was like, all right, okay. See, look at Penn State. Penn State was ranked 2-3 in the country. And I kept saying, why? Why? Show me. Show me. And in those games, they didn't show it. But Indiana took care of business. I said, Indiana, you don't just get put at the top of the mountain. You work for it. I've had to work for it, right? I worked my way up. Indiana worked their way up. Last year's Indiana team is not this year's Indiana team. I didn't think last year's Indiana team should have been in the college football playoff. This year's Indiana team, when they played Ohio State, the way they played Ohio State, I said, all right, it's a good team. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to see somebody. See, listen, here's the thing. When Tulane goes through the American and they play a bunch of unranked teams, people say, well, they haven't played anybody yet, so why do they deserve to be here? Same conversation. Tulane plays unranked teams, Indiana plays unranked teams. Well, Indiana's unranked teams are better than Tulane. Wisconsin, Purdue, Michigan State. No. And people that think those teams go undefeated in the American, that's insanity. So, I'm not sitting here changing my thoughts on Indiana. My thought was, let me see them play a tougher schedule and let's see how they respond. They've played a tougher schedule and they've responded tremendously. And again, check the notes. I picked Indiana to beat Alabama, and I respect Alabama. I respect Alabama's body of work this year. I really do. I know they have 3 losses, but they played a tougher schedule than Indiana, and Indiana beat a team that was battle-tested. But again, there's also that side of it too. Alabama's more battle-tested than Indiana, so how's Alabama's bodies compared to Indiana's bodies? See, that's the thing. There's layers to all this stuff. You can't look at something and go, well, that team's undefeated. They deserve to be da-da-da-da. Because if that was the case, then UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, Boise State, Coastal Carolina, they would all have a gripe with you because they were never first. So, I mean, there's layers to these conversations. And I've learned over time that you have to break it down. And even when you break it down and you simplify it and you bring logic to it and you spend hours on it and shows on it, multiple episodes, people still are stuck with, you said you didn't. No. I think what you learn in this world is sometimes, like, I've agreed with somebody before and they kept yelling. That's a confusing thing. You're like, wait a minute. We just agreed with each other and you're still mad? Why are you yelling? Like, it's crazy. So I refuse to bring that into 2026 with me. I'm very clear. When I'm right on my predictions, I'm right. I told you I was 3 for 4. I got them all right except for Ole Miss. And that one was, one play away from being right on that one. So, I stick by my predictions. I never predicted Indiana to be a bad team. I never predicted them to not be in the CFP. I never predicted them to lose in the CFP so far. I stick by my guns. Chuck said you got to agree quicker. Yeah, man, that's crazy, right? That somebody could yell at you when you're agreeing with each other. But listen, we don't need to spend time on the drama of the world. We got to spend time on being a solution. So what did I learn from this college football playoff quarterfinal? Indiana's better than I thought they were. Miami has definitely given some credence and some weight to my feeling about them. Ole Miss does not need Lane Kiffin, which I'm extremely happy for them about, because him leaving in their best season ever, to me, I was like, if this screws up Ole Miss's season and this messes with their chances of moving on to the college football playoff, it's going to be one of the biggest travesties in sports ever, and it was really going to piss me off. I'm not an Ole Miss fan, and I was friggin' hype about this. I was like, how can you talk to other schools? How can other schools be getting in touch with you? And how can you be leaving? How can you do this to these kids at this time? Like, see it through. I'm a big person with finish what you started. Okay, if I don't finish something, if I'm supposed to do something and I haven't done it yet, it sits on my brain. I wake up and it's one of the first things, if not the first thing I think about. If I have to get a video done, it's on my brain every day, all day long. Gotta do it. So to leave a team in the middle of their historic season, I was like, if these kids end up not making the college football playoff because the committee punishes them for Lane Kiffin, that's going to be horrible. If they make it and they lose because they're not focused and they're not driven and it's not the same, then that's going to be horrible. Ole Miss has shown that it was never Lane Kiffin. These guys are doing it. Pete Golding's doing it. This team doesn't even look like Lane Kiffin was the coach this year. They don't even look like it's like they don't even look like they lost anything. So that's been an awesome surprise. And Oregon, they got to play better. They got to play better. I think they know that. If they put the Texas Tech game the way they played against Texas Tech up against the teams that are left, it ain't gonna be easy. Oregon's got to play better. Dan, they won 23-0. They got to play better. Again, who did you play? Right? You play Indiana the way you play Texas Tech, Indiana's going to blow you out. It's going to be 41-3. So, listen, I think Indiana's got a really good shot of making it. Oregon's got to wake up for sure. And Miami Ole Miss, that's the Cinderella slipper, baby. How many people expected them to get there? I had Miami getting there, but how many people expected Miami and Ole Miss to get there? So we know for a fact that no matter who makes it on that side, somebody's going to put the glass slipper on. That's awesome, right? Those teams don't think that. Those teams are not sitting here saying that. I'm saying from the outside looking in, how many people had that? So no matter who wins that game, Ole Miss or Miami, that's going to shake it up. That's going to make for an interesting championship. And it looks like the big bad wolf, Indiana, is going to be there. Unless Oregon plays a dang near perfect game. Because they lost to Indiana, 30-20 in Eugene. So it was a good game. But let's see. What did Oregon learn from that? And how did they respond? What did Indiana learn? When you win a game, you still got to learn. You don't just learn when you lose. You learn when you win. Or else you're not going to win a championship. You don't win in the game of life unless you learn from wins and losses. Not one or the other. So, we'll see. But, so my annoying moment of the week is having a different set of rules for, and for the Notre Dame thing. Like, Notre Dame's got a set of rules, and then the autonomy group's got a set of rules, and then there's a set of rules for the conferences that are not in the autonomy group. Like, this is not going to work. I'm telling you what I think is going to happen. The FBS is going to split. And it's either going to be the SEC, Big Ten, and Notre Dame in Tier 1, and everybody else in Tier 2, or the autonomy group's going to split, and it's going to leave the rest of the FBS to do their own thing, and then Notre Dame's going to... See, but that's the thing. Notre Dame is always like by itself on an island. It's like, here's the autonomy group and Notre Dame. And so that doesn't make sense, And you can't be... putting these conferences under microscopes and having teams that are good inside of conferences being pushed down because the play of their overall conference and the bottom of their conference is so bad. So now you got to punish the teams on the top and da-da-da-da-da. If Notre Dame's not in a conference, how do you assess that? What I'm saying is, if you have criteria, it has to be the same for everybody. And how can the criteria ever be the same for everybody if Notre Dame is not in a conference? Essentially what you're saying is Notre Dame's going to make it in every year, or you're going to have hell to pay in PR. And that's not me saying I hate Notre Dame. That's me telling you the real. Notre Dame made it. You didn't hear anything. Notre Dame didn't make it. And they were running how many news cycles around that? I've never seen more news about a team that didn't make it to the postseason. So, how much did you hear about the other schools that reneged on the offer to go to the bowl season? How much did you hear about those schools? Like the first two schools to say we're not playing in a bowl game, that ran the news cycle for 5 seconds. Notre Dame ran it for weeks. So, things don't change unless you change things. That's the real. Things don't change unless you change things. Notre Dame acts the way they act because they've been allowed to. Put them in a conference, and they're not going to like it. because now they're going to have to deal with, well, Notre Dame's in the conference, but the conference isn't that good, and Notre Dame didn't beat the top, and Notre Dame's not playing for the championship, and Notre Dame knows what they can schedule, right? Well, Stanford used to be good. I don't care about used to. They play Navy, they play Army, they win those games. Navy and Army have gotten better over the years. Notre Dame knows how to beat them. They know how to break it down, so they win those games. They beat Stanford. USC hasn't been the same. They beat USC. You know, they play these ACC schools. They don't play the upper echelon of the ACC every year. I don't know if they're going to play Miami again after all this. I don't know if they're going to play Texas A&M again after all this. So, I mean, what are they saying? Should Notre Dame just play Eastern Illinois and Colorado and, I don't know, Kansas, Michigan State every year and just go 12-0 and that's it? I mean, what are we saying? So I just find it funny that people can't have the conversation because they don't want to have the conversation, which is that it's not about Notre Dame. It's about any team that was in that system. Like, what if it was my hometown of Syracuse? What if Syracuse was independent, they weren't in a conference, and they were given all this preferential treatment? Even though it's my hometown, I would tell people, that's wrong. Dan, why would you say that? Because I'm not supposed to show favorites. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And Notre Dame functions in this world where they get to do whatever they want to do, and everybody else is scrutinized differently than Notre Dame. It's even been admitted on national television this year. I watched it live. The statement of, well, you know, Notre Dame, but it's Notre Dame, so you know that. I mean, people don't even hide from it anymore. They're like, yeah, Notre Dame gets better treatment, or they get this, or they get an excuse, and that's just how it is. That's just how it is. It is what it is one of the statements that I cannot stand. Because if that's the case, slavery wouldn't have ended. Women wouldn't be voting right now. We wouldn't be a country. It is what it is accepting where you're at and not working toward a better future. Sometimes what it is isn't good. Sometimes what it is isn't fair. Sometimes what it is doesn't make sense. Sometimes what it is isn't the best case scenario for everybody involved. There's 136 FBS schools. Either we figure this out or it continues to be a broken system. And I love the college football playoff, and I love bowl season, and I love college football. We just have to have a better way of going about it. Let's jump into lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Speaking about God and, you know, making sure that we listen, that we hear him. You know, I don't sleep a lot. I'm always working, I'm always doing stuff. And, you know, sometimes, and I don't want to admit this, but sometimes I'm doom scrolling. I never wanted to be a doom scroller. And I'm not going to be in 2026. But I have been. And, you know, hours go by. So doom scrolling, watching TV, being on the phone. None of that's worth getting sick, man. So I'd say you really got to listen to God. You got to hear him. You got to value what he says. And you got to make the most of the time you got. So I think in the new year, I need to listen more to God. I need to hear him more. I need to be less selfish. I need to not treat God like a well where there's this endless, he's going to give me whatever I want no matter what I do. God has been great to me. I have not been great to him. I can be better with God. I can be better with myself. to be better with others, and live out of hypocrisy. I don't like hypocrisy. So when I'm hypocritical, when I don't do what I say, or I expect something that I don't give or say, I can't stand hypocrisy. So to the moments where I've lived in that and I've been a hypocrite, I'm sorry. To the moments where I haven't listened to God, I'm sorry. To the moments where I was like, oh, he's going to forgive me for everything and I can do whatever I want, I'm sorry. Because the reality of it all is I got caught up in me. And in 2026, we ain't doing that. In 2026, I'm going to take care of me. But it's about him. And that's the real. Let's go to the top dog of the week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, the best place to bring your dog for daycare, 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, across from BJ's. You can see it from the highway. It's right off Erie Boulevard, right off of Bridge Street. And you can call them at 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. You can also go and look them up at K-9 Kamp.com. That's K-, a little dash line, K-9 Kamp.com. So make sure you do that. Let them know the DT sent you. My top dog of the week for this week, man, it's got to be God. God got me out of bed. God got my butt moving. God helped me, man. I had to walk over a mile yesterday. It was confusing getting into Hard Rock Stadium. I'd never been there before. Sometimes when you've never been to a stadium, it's a difficult road. Sometimes it's not. But I've had a lot of experiences of going to a stadium for the first time, and people can't seem to tell you where to go and what to do, and da-da-da. And, you know, God got me through that. How do I look at it? Well, walking that 1.5 miles or whatever in the sun helped me get a tan. You know, I got a light on me right now, so I look lighter than I am, but you know, I figure help me get a tan, help me get my steps in, help my body push through and show its resiliency. You know, because your mind, mind over matter. If my mind was like, hey, you don't have a lot of energy, you don't feel 100%, then it would slow my feet down and it would actually make my feet feel like cement. But I just kept walking because my desire, my belief was, you're going to do that. You got to get to the game. You love this. My love for the game, my love for what I do, my appreciation for the Capital One Orange Bowl and having me here and giving me a credential, everything about this moment was like, you're going to live in this moment, you're going to enjoy this moment. You didn't think you were going to feel bad. You didn't think you were going to not know what gate to go into. You didn't think it was going to be confusing, but you're going to navigate through it. You're going to show God how much you want it. You're going to work for it. And I think God does that with all of us. Is he says, okay, you've been in this thing for a while. I've blessed you abundantly. But every once in a while, I'm going to test you to make sure that you're still fight for it, that you still want it, that you still love it, that you still appreciate what I give you. That all these easy roads and easy opportunities, all this easy stuff that we've done, when I test you, do you push or do you complain? So, you know, my thing is, did I have a moment or two? I had a moment where I was like, oh, you know, my goodness. But beyond that, I kept my mouth shut. And, you know, my goal is to not have any of that, right? You just keep going, keep doing it, right? I've gone through adversity and it's frustrated me. But at the end of the day, there's certain things you can change and there's certain things you can't. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Peace, courage, wisdom. So, I love being down here for the Capital One Orange Bowl. I can't wait to be back here in less than 3 weeks. And I loved being at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. No complaints, no notes. It was fun. It was exciting. It was great. And, you know, my top dog of the week is God because he helped me get through it. He helped me get through it. Everything that I promised I was going to do to myself, he made sure I did. He helped me keep my promises. I got miles to go before I sleep and promises to keep, right, Floyd? So, God help me make sure that I walked those miles, literally and figuratively, and that I kept my promises. So, from the college football playoff, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, aka DT on the CFP. I thank you for being here. I thank all of the teams in the college football playoff for making this an exciting quarterfinal. I thank the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and the Capital One Orange Bowl for the hospitality. I congratulate the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl for awesome games as well. I loved watching them. I appreciate all the coverage from ESPN and everything that they did and all the work that they had. And to all my fellow broadcasters and journalists and people doing this, I hope you stay safe. I hope you're healthy, safe, happy, you travel well, you get to where you need to go to on time at the minimum, hopefully early, and that we all have a great event together, and that we appreciate the blessings and that we remember where they came from, God the Almighty himself. So have a great day from my second home of Florida, where am I, Myers Creek, showing that love to all of the fantastic partners that I have with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Big time thanks to Great Lakes Honda City, our exclusive studio partner. They're our studio partner when we're on the road as well. So shout out to Great Lakes Honda City. Make sure you get on the road in your next vehicle today by going to Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Check out their inventory at greatlakeshondacity.com. That's greatlakeshondacity.com. They're open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Shout out to Carvel DeWitt. Shout out to the Wildcat Sports Pub. We're going to be there twice this upcoming week. We'll be there Monday, January 5th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Frank Calabufo and the West Genesee boys ice hockey team. We'll be back there on Wednesday, less than 48 hours later, Wednesday, January 7th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time with West Genesee boys basketball, Fred Kent and the crew. So we'll see you twice this week coming up, first full week of 2026, and we'll be celebrating West Genesee at the Wildcat. Boys ice hockey, boys basketball. Can't wait to see you there. And yeah, so shout out to them. Shout out to GG Cards and Breaks, to Myers Creek once again. Big time shout out to my guy Jason Lucas. Love you, brother. And that message that you sent me of, bro, how, that was one of the biggest compliments of my life. So I love you, brother. And I miss you. And I hope I get to see you soon. And I'm so proud of you. Jason starts a new job this Monday, and I'm so excited for him. He's going to do fantastic. Of course, he is a resident on my show. He comes back here many times. He'll be back again. So can't wait to have Jason on the show once again, definitely within these next couple weeks of the CFP. And so proud of you for being a fantastic brother to me, a fantastic father, a fantastic son, a fantastic human being. Thank you for your love and support over the years. Thank you for believing in me so many years ago. I met Jason when he was doing PR and working in the front office for the Florida Tuskers of the UFL in its iteration before its current iteration. And so we met as strangers. We met through what I do for a living and what he does for a living. We connected, and a brotherhood was born out of that. So I love you. I love you, and I cannot thank you enough. It gets me choked up a little bit that you believed in me back then. So, people like you believing in me helped me to get to where I am today. I love you for that. I appreciate you for that so much. And so fitting that I get to say that to you here in Florida, because that's where we met. So thank you. I love you. I love you. You are my brother for life and beyond that. So thank you for that. And, big time thanks to everybody else I get to work with, to MON-FRI, the snack capital of the world, to working with Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich. Carvel DeWitt, we're going to unveil my new sundae. It's got a name. I've already taken the pictures. We've done the photo shoot. It looks gorgeous. I can't wait to unveil that to you. That's coming up very soon. Stay tuned. K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, K-9 Campground Dog Boarding. Big time thanks to them, to Avicoli's, to Pizza Man, as well as Game Point Sports Complex. Many thanks to all of you, and big time shout out to Brian's Landing, the fantastic brunch that they have, the awesome menu. I love working with Chef. We get to do broadcasting at Brian's where I'm in the kitchen, and I get to cook with Chef and their head chef, and I love working with Chef McNerney. So make sure you stay tuned for that. There's going to be a new one coming up, and those are all on YouTube at Wake Up Call DT, the broadcasting at Brian's playlist on our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel, all of our playlists on the channel, the college football playlist, the college football playoff playlist. There's so many things going on. And many thanks to our exclusive multimedia marketing partners in Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, Binghamton University, and also a big time thanks to Onondaga Community College. You can check out all of our content with each of those schools by going to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist for the Bobcats, our Binghamton playlist for the Bearcats, and you can also find our OCC playlist for the Lasers. You can find all of those schools in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership by going to WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and the exclusive partners tab. For more information on the Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and of course, go Bobcats. For the Bearcats, go to binghamtonbearcats.com, go Bearcats, and for the Lasers, go to onondagalasers.com and go Lasers. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Travel Studios down here in our second home of Florida, I want to thank God for letting me have an incredible transition from the end of one year to the beginning of another in less than 12 hours, covering 2 college football playoff games, 2 different bowl games in 2 different states, in 2 different cities, and 2 different time zones. God is great all the time, and all the time, God is great. Have a wonderful day. God bless your 2026. May you and all your loved ones have the best year ever. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be filled with the Lord's gifts. Have them all do his will first and be well, and may they go hand in hand. May you heal from anything bothering you completely and for good. No matter what, may you heal through God himself, and may he bless you, keep you, protect you, and give you peace in everything you do and say, and may he help you to handle well whatever comes your way, in and out of your control. May you be safe and sound. May your loved ones in heaven that have passed on be in heaven, safe and sound. May we all be connected to our loved ones, even in death, because dying, Jesus destroyed our death and restored our life when he rose again. I cannot wait for 2026. I am so happy with 2025. I love you all. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and the only reason why I was able to do any of this, to be able to afford it, to travel, for the timing to work out, to get from one place to another place, and to even get out of bed the way that I was feeling under the weather, is from God himself. To the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, I am indebted. I owe my life, and I would give it for only the Lord, happily. I've just gotten started. So have you. Let's go change the world in a positive way. Let's serve the Lord together. God bless you all. Keep him first, and may you have an incredible 2026.